changes.
Motion, we accept the minutes as presented. However, there's a couple of changes. And one of them is that Commissioner Lawrence was there, and there's a couple vote areas where they did not have her. And on page 3, they have her as having voted, but they left out Mr. Cohen, Commissioner Cohen, as having voted. So those need changed.
All in favor of making those changes?
Aye.
About that, you may have to have a motion to have it amended. An amended motion to approve the minutes. So I'll make that motion, so moved.
Seconded?
I would second that.
Okay. Moved and second, we accept the changes. as
Aye.
listed.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
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 And there's two sets of minutes.
Yeah, there's a second.
Now, how's it?
Yeah, and then
I'll
we
make
have
a
the Housing
motion,
Needs
we
Advisory
accept it.
minutes dated on December 11th.
That's the historic.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Second. Moved and second. Aye.
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 All
Aye.
in favor?
Aye.
I missed part of it, but
Okay, those
I
two.
know, I know, but
Topics from the floor. Topic, does anybody wish to make a comment from the floor?
Mr. Chairman, since there appears not to be any, I'd like to move item number 7 up for the selection. I think we can get that done pretty rapidly.
Sorry, I think it was in that order so that the meeting would be continued with our chair as we
Well, I
have.
think we can just get rid of it right now.
But then whoever's selected as chair would have to run the public hearing.
Whatever. I don't see a problem, but that's fine. Whatever.
That is.
up to the group.
Go ahead.
All right. Seeing no topics from the floor, public hearing agenda. Okay, we have the conditional use permit. Excuse me. Okay, it's now 7:03. This is hearing is now open. This is a quasi-judicial land use hearing. The subject of this hearing and request is for a conditional use permit. Subject property is identified on the county assessor's map as 3600 on map 4N 1W-B 4BC. The applicant is Pebbles Stone. The owner is the same. Because the quasi-judicial proceedings require observance of certain procedural formalities, we will take a few moments to cover some preliminary matters and required statements. Does any member of the commission wish to declare ex parte contact, conflict of interest, or bias in this matter?
No.
Hearing none. Does anybody in the audience object to the ability of a commissioner to make a fair decision? Seeing none. Generally, the order of proceedings will be as follows. Required statement, staff report, applicant's presentation, those in favor of application, neutral testimony, those opposed, rebuttal by applicant, final questions, close of the record, deliberations and decisions. The following statements are required to be made at the commencement of the hearing pursuant to City Code ORS 197.7635. The following is a list of applicable substantive criteria for this decision. St. Helens Municipal Code 17.100.040A-F. All testimony, arguments, and evidence must be directed towards the applicable substantive criteria as described or other criteria in the plan, such as comprehensive plan or land use regulations such as found in the Development Code, which the person believes applies to the decision. Failure to raise an issue, including constitutional or otherwise issues relating to the proposed conditions of approval in this hearing, in person or in writing, or failure to raise an issue accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to afford the approving authority an opportunity to respond to the issue precludes appeal to LUBA, Land Use Appeals Board, on that issue and precludes the action for damages in court. Okay, Jacob.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is a conditional use permit for a child daycare facility on an interesting property. I remember several years ago driving by this and kind of looking, wait a minute. I don't remember that being there. And it was that the old hair salon went back to the office, looked at the zoning. Wait a minute, that's residential. Well, that hair salon's been there for a long time. It was a grandfathered use. We know it hasn't been used for a couple of years now. I guess the resident, like everybody.
Ceased.
Yeah. Of course, now we know a little bit more about it. So there's 3 buildings on there. There's the what has historically been used as a detached single-family dwelling, and then there is the building that was used as a hair salon, which has a deck, which is overlooking the creek. Not something you could do today, and so they're lucky they have that. It's grandfathered. It's also in a floodway, so there's a lot of reasons it's grandfathered and a lot of reasons to keep it. And then there's a little garage in the corner of the property, which you see there, is proposed to be sacrificed for what's called Phase 2 of this project. So the owner recently acquired it. She currently has a daycare facility by the DMB Monkey Tree, right? And she wants to expand her services. So one thing that the staff report doesn't say specifically is that the Planning Commission has the ability to approve phases. It's built into the decision. We're assuming it's okay with you. Phase 1 is to take the house and add classroom number 1, and then Phase 2 is to add the second classroom to the house, and then convert the hair salon into a classroom. The applicant wants to get started, and especially that hair salon building needs a little more tender love and care to get it up and running. And so she wants to be able to get started, start producing some income. And we recommended adding the phases because that buys you a lot more time and hopefully avoids having to go through this process again. So like with any conditional use permit, there's a variety of standards and stuff. And really, when I was on the site, it seems kind of a ideal spot for the use, really. It's along a major street. It's central, so it's accessible to parents. But even though it's along a major street, I don't know how many of you did site visits, but you can't appreciate the hedge along Columbia Boulevard unless you're on the private property side. It really does. It's been there a long time. The hedge is happy despite some of the dry summers we have. And so, the assumption is that'll persist. The concrete's in good shape, and it really provides a nice buffer from the street, which is right there. And then you have the creek, you have the bridge, so there's cool stuff to look at if you're a curious kid. Not all kids have houses by creeks, and so that's kind of an amenity. There is a house to the west, and we talk about some screening requirements there. And then there's also a property on the south side. The house is further removed. So it's interesting being on that property, though you're in the middle of town. You kind of feel like you're isolated a little bit. And some of that has to do with the fact that on the other side of the creek, you have the back side of the Ace Hardware building, which has no windows, blocks a lot of the highway noise and stuff like that. So it seems like an ideal spot from a location standpoint, assuming we don't have testimony from neighbors that think otherwise. I don't know if there's neighbors in the audience or not, but we'll soon find out. And also making sure that the buildings comply with the appropriate codes, which the building official will look at. And it's also in the floodplain, so there's floodplain stuff we have to look at too. There's a lot of existing pavement, and so there's not a lot of new paving that'll need to be done. Just mostly striping, putting in a disabled space, and then for later phase, removing that garage, which isn't in all that great a shape anyways. So it's not a huge loss. And there's flood stuff in here. we went ahead and combined the sensitive land conditions with this. And we can talk about that. The phase one, so, well, when you're in a floodplain, we have to consider, okay, is it a substantial improvement or not? What that means is the improvements that go into the building are more than 50% of its value. And based on the cost breakdown provided by the applicant, one was like 49%. I mean, it was just barely. And when I was running those numbers, I felt like I was playing a game show because, I don't want to have to put this burden on the early phase. And I'm going through the numbers, and man, it's getting close. But it stayed just under. But for phase two, yeah, clearly it's a substantial improvement for both. And so there's some flood stuff that will need to be done. Anyways, so we built it into phases. That gives you up to 3 years to finish it. So that's all captured in condition one. The one condition we have as far as things we want to see before a building permit is issued, basically this plan works. It's just a method of screening on the west and south sides. And then prior to occupancy, you put in your parking and stuff per the plan. And then phase two will require a new sensitive lands permit to deal with that flood stuff. Otherwise, it's pretty straightforward. Seems like a very appropriate use. Sometimes I'm sorry that we have to put people through this, but the code is the code, and there we go. So I don't think I have a lot more to say. If you want to let the applicant talk in any public testimony, it seems appropriate.
Great. Could we have the applicant come up and speak to us?
Who's Pebble Stone. I own Monkey Tree Learning Center currently. Do you guys want history on the current facility? No? Yes? So I have a wait list of 100 kids. We have 100 kids not being served in our county for childcare. I'm the largest childcare facility in Oregon that accepts state assistance. So being that we're the county hub, there's a lot of children unable to be served because of the lack of people accepting state vouchers. The barrier of state vouchers is you're paid in arrears. You're not paid up front for the service you provide. So when I hold 49% of kids who cannot pay up front, people decline their need for childcare because of that. I've been looking to purchase an expansion, and I tried to buy the current facility here on Old Portland Road when it closed down. The old owner is not really ready to sell, and I was ready to expand at this time. My agent took me to this current facility, pulled up, and there's a monkey tree growing in the natural hedge, and I was like, this is it. Let's start the process. So within 30 days, I was able to close and then took on a gigantic building with a lot of improvements to happen. So I employ 48 staff from this area, including I have a high school program where we link up with the high school, and the kids ready to graduate either early or need some recovery credits can come work for me after school to gain those high school credits. So I've connected largely with the community to provide the needs that we have for this area. In addition to that, we run a preschool promise program. It's put on by the Education Hub, and it's for kids who cannot afford preschool can have a free and appropriate education for preschool. I have 20 slots, and when phase 2 starts, I'm hoping to have the county, the Education Hub, release me 20 more. I have to have the building to do that, though. My current center is at full capacity every day with 150 kids, so I can't provide more services without the space. So And person taking lead on the building is here with me. It's Jeff Roth, and he's doing all the. I'm going to run the business. He's going to develop the site. So that's why he's here for those questions.
I'm Jeff Roth, and I'm the contractor for her, just in case there was any other questions that needed on the contraction side. So.
How many children in phase 1 and also then expecting phase 2?
Phase 1 is 10 kids, and phase 2 is additional 10 kids.
Okay.
That's all dictated by the county, or not, sorry, the state. The state level dictates how many kids per square feet.
Right.
Every child has to have 35 playable square feet per classroom. So it's broke up just based upon how the house could be renovated.
And what will the staff ratio be to the children?
We adhere to a 1 to 4, so 1 staff member per 4 kids.
My question has to do with safety precautions around the creek. Have you looked at any additional safety features to ensure that the child is safe from the creek? And
Yes, we plan to do a no-climb fence and a net from the salon side to the water.
Okay.
And that will run along the front side of the retaining wall as well. So the whole property needs to have a no-climb fence.
Great.
And that's what the state kind of leads me on that. So
And what is the height of that fence? Do you know what the maximum height would be?
So the state likes 8 foot. I can ask for a waiver to 6 feet to match your guys' city code.
Okay.
Does that mean the deck railing? You calling that the fence, or so the deck railing itself doesn't look very childproof right now?
No.
But
That was my next question.
That would be the fencing and the net.
okay.
Yeah, on that side.
I want to clarify in my mind, I was worried about it too. That
Catherine,
fencing,
thank you.
will that be right up at the floor level of the building and go up from there?
Can you answer that?
Yeah, it'll have to go up higher so it can go from the floor level, so they can't get over the 6 foot at that point.
Thank you.
And what will the ages of your students be?
Phase 1 is just infant care. That's my highest level of need. And then phase 2 is going to be a preschool.
Preschool. Okay. Thank you.
How do you see traffic coming in and leaving that site? I mean, I don't know, how many cars do you expect to have?
So, funny question. I tried to do this in Scappoose, and I had to do a traffic analysis impact study. So I learned this really well. Kids travel to and from daycare before business hours. So my center is full by 7 a.m. We open our doors at 6:30, or at 6, I apologize. And we're full by 7. So kids are dropped off before high traffic hours. And kids are picked up after business is closed. So my pickup time's 6:30. Pickup starts after 6. So impact during business hours is very low. Parents' pickup time takes between 12 and 14 minutes, pickup drop-off. That's what they came back telling me. So it's a very short amount of time. And parking during the day will just be my staff. And then parents who show up to pick up a sick kid.
Is there any parking on Columbia Boulevard there? I can't remember.
No.
It's not a wide,
Yeah. A couple of spots, I think.
Picture that.
yeah, I didn't think there was.
No.
Yeah.
And this
The
is
road is wide, but I'm so close to the bridge, I don't think there's a lot
That's
of
where-
space.
And this isn't the only daycare on Columbia Boulevard for children, so,
And there's one that I drive by and wonder, how was that parking and driveway approved? In this case, because of the retaining wall with the hedge, you have the one driveway and the design. I think it'll work well to get people off the street.
Right.
There's plenty of maneuvering room, so they don't have to back out.
The only question I have, and I haven't visited the site, so I don't know, I'll leave it to you. When you're coming out Does that hedge at all impede the driver's view from oncoming traffic from the highway coming up Columbia Boulevard?
I don't ever remember thinking of that when I was exiting.
It's set back.
It is set back.
So when you go to pull out, the hedge is set back, and you actually can get like your front two wheels before the driveway ends.
Okay.
It was at first it was a barrier because there could have been 2 parking spots there, but it's actually nice because I don't have to do anything to the front
Okay.
area now.
Good. Good.
So this is kind of a Jacob question, but I know the driveway for residential is 24 feet maximum, right? But is that big enough for cars to be coming in and out at the same time? That's one question. And if it's not, can they make it wider with the commercial?
I think it's probably just barely wide enough for 2, and given that concrete structure with the planter in it, it would almost be a shame
I don't know what it looks like.
because
yeah.
it's intact. The hedge is in good shape. I think it's adequate for the scale of the project.
Okay.
And I think there's
And
like
what do
an
you think? Yeah.
8-foot rule where you can go next to a water. There's a sewer
Oh.
plate on the ground, and I believe that there's a distance from where your driveway can start and where that water main sewage thing is. So I can't cut any further towards it. I mean, we go back and forth through it
Yeah.
now, and people can pull in and out, but I can't take it wider on my side.
Okay.
Do you envision them coming in and turning there or going around the building?
Ideally, my staff will be in the back of the building, and those front spots will be for drop-off pickup,
Okay.
so people can back and turn and leave.
Yeah, the cars can't go upstairs. You can't. They wouldn't be able to go around. It's kind of a dual level. So the area between the buildings and Columbia Boulevard is above grade, and then the lower parking lot, there's kind of a daylight basement in both buildings, and so that's lower.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And so the edge of the pavement is all on the west side of the property, and then on the east side you either have landscaping or the creek, and in between the buildings, that's where you have stairs and
Oh,
stuff.
okay.
Okay. I didn't realize that property was that deep.
It's huge.
That's
Yeah,
great.
it's like I said,
Like a
when you're on the
Forest
property,
City.
it's like, wow, this is a different,
Yeah.
kind of a different world right in the middle
That's
of town.
My initial thought was, this is too much, it's overwhelming. And then I was like, oh wait, this actually could be really good. Let's cut back the hedge a little bit and see. Like, it was super overgrown. So once we kind of cleared out and was able to see what's really there, it's a really nice piece of property.
Great. That's great. Just don't let the kids feed the ducks too much. They're
You know,
already.
the geese are
they're all-
rough. They're
They'll march across
Oh yeah.
Columbia Boulevard and all traffic stop. 'Cause
We
I used
were-
to get drive tests there, and you have to sit and wait for the geese,
Yeah.
because they like that first property across the street. I don't know what's there. But they eat there and eat, and then they line up and they're like they're at the Peabody Hotel.
I know.
And it's their street.
If
They-
we get too close to the end of the deck, they honk at me and like,
Yeah,
ugh.
yeah.
They definitely need little Weight Watchers.
Yes, they want
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. So okay.
Great. Any more questions?
I think she did her homework.
All right.
I didn't see anything about an outside playground. I'm just curious. Are you going to have anything in that green space kind of in the
So-
corner? Or?
Actually, the area between the two buildings,
Yeah.
the idea is to make that green space for the infants to go outside when it's nice.
Uh-huh.
And then the big area in the back will be a playground, the grass,
Yeah, that's
for
cool.
preschool.
That's great.
That'll be phase 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Very nice.
That's the infants don't have to have outdoor area, but it is nice developmentally, so we will add that to it as well.
Great. All right. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
And we didn't require a traffic impact analysis.
Okay.
No, no. Didn't
Sure.
really want to bring it up either.
12 to 14 minutes, because when I was over by the monkey tree, it was like all the cars came, and they were all gone. I mean, you blinked, and they were, all these little munchkins are walking out with their parents. And 10 minutes flat, lots empty again.
All right, do we have any testimony in support of this? Nor do we have any testimony neutral to this? Any opposition? Seeing none of the above. No rebuttals probably, because we don't have any. All right. Do we have any final questions? Okay, hearing no further questions from the commission, no further responses from the staff, the public record is closed. This matter is returned to the table for deliberations and oral decisions. Anybody?
I had a question for you, Jacob.
Sure.
So you said, so you're expecting us to make a decision on phase 1 and 2 and the sensitive lands permitting
Yeah,
as
the
one
sensitive-
decision?
The sensitive land is kind of built, at least the sensitive land.
That was it's kind of a two-part question, sorry.
So, yes, for phase 1 and 2, so that's embodied in the conditions
Yeah.
for the 2 phases. And this first sensitive lands permit is kind of sensitive lands light. So, okay, we know the floodplain's there, we know the floodway's there, we know we have the riparian standards, and all that checks out. And luckily, the numbers checked out, at least based on what we were provided so far, as far as the substantial improvement for phase 1. For phase 2, we'll need another sensitive lands permit, which we'll handle administratively just to handle the flood rules.
At that time?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not approving the sensitive lands permitting for phase 2 at this time.
That's correct. Yeah, just
what I
for
was trying to
phase 1,
clarify.
which is kind of a lighter. It's not as heavy in thinking, fortunately.
Where do you have that in conditions?
It's, for example, if you look at condition 3C, that talks about floodplain stuff, and then also condition 4.
But that's for phase 2.
That's phase 2, yeah.
Yeah, the 3C,
It's phase 1.
that's just a condition that, well, if it turns out to be a substantial improvement, we have to deal with the flood rules now.
Okay.
As far as the riparian stuff, it's not really captured in the conditions, but we just wanted to make sure that there wasn't any new pavement going closer to the creek, and they're using pre-existing pavement, so that wasn't an issue at all.
Yeah. Anything else?
Anything else? All right. We have a motion to approve this.
So moved.
All right.
Second.
Second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Nay? It's passed.
Motion to sign.
Second that?
Any commissioner, second? You again? Yes? Aye?
Aye.
Nay?
Aye.
Approved?
Is that efficient?
Yes.
Good luck.
Very efficient.
You without your rest.
You're done.
Not always that easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, she originally was targeting the December hearing, and I think there was a delay on the land purchase, so it just gave a little more time for Jenny and I to help her along. So
How long
It-
did she have the monkey tree, do you know? I meant to ask.
I don't know. I think a long time is my sense, but we didn't.
I tell you, I think that this proposed site is much better than the one on Old Portland Road.
Oh,
It's
very
just,
definitely.
it's just so much more opportunity.
Yeah,
I
it's,
think it's good.
it's cooler. It's a lot cooler for the kids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
she just puts in that safety thing, I'll be happy, so,
Yeah.
That's,
She
that's
has
the
to.
UBC to do.
sorry.
That's UBC, Uniform Building Code.
Yes.
Well, she's also got the state.
Oh,
Yeah.
I would deal with child care and the state
Yes.
codes.
Do you want to open this?
Big job.
No.
Next item, term expirations. Discussion.
Okay, term expiration discussion. So the subcommittee interviewed our one applicant.
Oh, we
We did
had
have
one.
an applicant that came in. So I'm trying to, you may have not known this since the last commission meeting.
So not every member of the commission got the application? I thought it would, yeah, I thought it went out to everybody.
No, I did get it.
I don't remember
Really?
that one.
I didn't see it.
Kathy sent it out to the whole group. It was during the holiday. It was like right before. I want to say it was on December 21st.
Yeah.
20. It was the deadline.
Yeah, we got the application in 30 minutes before it was over.
Yeah, because he was
Nothing, nothing like,
working in our restaurant.
Yeah.
So I gotta go to St. Helens.
So anyways, since we got the applicant, we convened the interview committee. The interview committee interviewed this gentleman who was a business owner and lead cook at the Klondike ever since the Klondike was in existence until it ceased to exist.
no, that's not true. No, he was, since the Klondike was reformulated. He wasn't the original.
Oh, okay, there was two Klondikes.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Any case, that's the association.
He bought the name of the Klondike.
He's like
Gotcha.
100 years old now. Huh?
And so
The
the
old
interview panel thought he was a good candidate, but it's only one. And there's two of you with expirations. And just like we experienced last year, when you're on a team and you've been to battle together, the interview committee is uncomfortable being mean and letting someone go. So they were indecisive about you two. So did you bring the boxing gloves?
Jacob,
Who's the two?
Jacob,
Who's the two?
excuse me,
Who?
that wasn't how we,
Another, yeah.
We weren't sure what.
yeah. We were asked to interview Dave, and we felt, at least I felt, that he answered our questions, but I personally didn't find a fire sort of as far as a real desire. I felt that he was looking to offer his service as a volunteer to the community, which I think is great. But in weighing how the kind of position we're in as far as deciding on having somebody appointed to a position that's vacant or appointing someone to a position where people are already serving and would like to continue that service and are doing a good job, I felt that I couldn't recommend a change. That was how we talked it over, and that was our view, that we certainly appreciated his interest, but I just, sometimes you get the feeling that a person is going to be a great addition to a body, and you don't want to lose that person, and I think that happened the last time we interviewed. This time I didn't feel that way, and so that was where I came from. That's my recommendation to the commission.
And so,
What was your impression?
my impression, I went home and I thought about it, and I feel like we have a good commission right now, and I don't think that, I've happily served a year, and I think that just because there's vacancies and we have the two vacancies, they said that they would like to continue to serve. And so, I don't feel like we have to fill anything right now. I feel comfortable and happy with the team as it is right now. So, I would recommend that it stays the way that it is.
And from a personal standpoint, I don't want to ever be put in this position again. I've done this twice. I'm not doing it again.
So don't volunteer
you for
great for
doing
the.
it. Right.
Thank you for taking the hit.
I won't be absent for any more meetings.
Oh, is that
Do you
how
want
you
to
got
speak?
it?
That's how I got it, by default.
I guess I sat in on the interviews, and the interview ended, and that was, it sounds like the interview committee had thoughts after they went home. Because we sat in that committee, and what I heard from the panel was that he was a viable candidate. How do we decide? And we'll come back to the meeting and discuss it. So it sounds like people went home and had thoughts. Because I didn't walk out of that meeting thinking we're going to stand pat. I walked out of that meeting that we're going to come back here and make a decision. So I didn't go home and ruminate in my mind and make a different decision. So, I mean, we walked out of here and I'm thinking, how do we decide? Which one? How do we decide? Because there was no clear decision that you guys had made the decision that you were not going to accept Dave.
Well, we really didn't have an opportunity to. I personally didn't have an opportunity, and I can only speak for myself. I didn't feel that I had an opportunity to think about what I had heard and how that fit into things. I mean, we heard from sort of Jacob asked each of us, including yourself, how you felt. And I think that from that standpoint, we were able to give you a sort of quick synopsis of what we heard. I think we should put into the equation to explain to the full commission that Dave was a half hour late for the interview. The interview was set up for 4. He didn't show up till 4:30. We had a call. He didn't know, apparently either had not gotten the email or not seen the email or whatever. So, and we had about, a half hour of time. But I felt that, I wanted to, and I don't think anybody, I certainly didn't feel that I gave a comment, a yes or no. Jacob asked for a thumbs up or thumbs down, and I said, I needed more time to think about it. And we have to remember, this is the commission's recommendation to the city council. Ultimately, it's the city council's decision. They're the ones that decide. We can only recommend, and that's our responsibility to recommend. And we're on that. That's why we're asked to be on the panel.
So what I was hearing from them is that candidates appeared to be viable, but there were other factors that have influenced their recommending not to choose him. So I don't think that there's any difference. Sounds like I wasn't there when you had the meeting and the interview and coming here.
Yeah, we talked. The discussion after he left lasted 45 minutes, and it was kind of talking in circles. It did end up, we had to think about it.
Yeah.
So my assumptions based on talking circles was probably wrong, but of course you've thought about it since then. Well, do either of you just want to walk out? And you both said you're willing to stay.
It sounds like the panel has decided that they're standing pat. And just like they did last time, if the council wants to make a change, then they have to make the change. So my only burden then to take back to the council is, it puts me in a weird spot because we're all part of a team, and this body gets upset when we overturn your decision, but we asked you to make a decision based on facts, and then it's like, wait, it doesn't quite make sense. This is a different one than the one before. I grant you that. He was late. He didn't seem as interested as what we would hope for this commitment. And I was struck that by the interview process, is the candidate was not
passionate.
right. It was like he kind of wanted to do it, so that was a little off-putting to me. I was like, this is kind of important, and this, he didn't treat it important. So that made it, like, I know the charter says after you've served this many terms, if there's a viable candidate, we're supposed to move on. But a viable candidate kind of needs to be an enthusiastic viable candidate. And so I definitely felt that enthusiasm gap. But if the committee doesn't feel comfortable replacing people, not this one in particular, just in general, just a matter of policy, because the policy was put in place before I was here, but you guys do the interviewing, and so it's kind of leaves it up to me. If I'm going to alter from you, it's on my opinion only. And so that kind of puts the big pressure on me to make a change.
But that's why you get paid the big bucks. You are the city council member. You're our liaison, but ultimately you are a member of the
Greg.
city council.
I understand, Greg.
And let me, from a personal standpoint, the system is flawed. We should not be put in that kind of position, having to pick or choose. If you don't want people to serve beyond a certain time, then you should make it a rule that you don't, for any reason, serve beyond that to limit or whatever.
Right. That's why I'm having this conversation
Right.
about the policy.
Well,
Not about a
but we're
person.
not the one. But we're not the ones that can change that policy.
I'm asking you for your input.
Well, my input is all from the very beginning. I think it's a flawed policy. I think the policy should be clear cut. I think you should say you serve so many terms and you're out, and then it's up to the city council or whomsoever to get volunteers
Yeah,
to
I
fill
don't
those
like
positions.
the gray area.
No, I don't like
the
it
gray
either.
area.
One of my coworkers is a planning commissioner in Kaiser, and he's terming out, and he can't continue.
Right. That's what I mean. I understood it when it got put through there, is they didn't want people to have lifetime appointments.
Right.
And if you don't want lifetime appointments, then set a limit and have it be the limit.
Exactly.
And
That's
not
what it
have,
should be.
it's the limit unless, and then it's up to you guys or me or the whim of whatever city councilor is sitting here. Because it won't always be me. You know, and then you have personal issues and stuff like that if people aren't arbitrary and fair.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure that it's the best thing. I mean, personally, I've sat here with you guys for 6 years. The thought of Audrey or Sheila going away was pretty distressing to me. And I wanted somebody that was awesome, but that's not what we saw. Not that he's a bad person, but that's not the interview we had.
But you didn't have enough applicants either to take their
No,
seat.
Right, I mean,
well, that's
yeah.
true too. But at the same time, you see it, in my opinion, and I can only speak for myself, it is not an objective way of doing things. It's a subjective way. And when you get into subjective, too many variables come in. You're not looking at it from an objective standpoint. And to be honest with and for the best of the panel, you need to make sure that you're looking at it from an objective format. And this does not lend in my opinion, does not lend itself to that. And I think the policy should be clear cut. You serve so many terms and you're out. And then it's up to whomsoever to be able to fill the positions. That's one of the things that the city is finding it difficult. They can't fill the positions for
So-
volunteers.
So devil's advocate, if you gave Dave the thumbs down, you still don't have anybody take their seat.
It doesn't kill them. It doesn't kick them. The policy doesn't kick them out.
No.
They just
The
Right.
policy right now
So
is
they're
not
gonna
to
stay-
kick
yeah,
them out.
Right.
No, nobody
But if
terms
the
out.
policy were that you serve so many, but then if you know that going in, you see that's the difference here. If you know that the policy says you can only serve a maximum of so many terms going in, then you know that. You're prepared for that, as well as the city is prepared for that. And they can begin the process of looking for candidates, 6 months or whatever before the position becomes available. Whereas now it's, well, do you want to, continue to serve another, term, even though your term, you've expired out, wink, wink. If nobody applies for your position, you'll be reappointed. That makes it kind of willy-nilly, because then it's, it's like saying, we hope there aren't any more applicants, we just continue on,
Whereas if somebody termed out,
Yes.
if someone termed out, like if I knew my term was up in January, I'd be looking for someone that was qualified to take my spot.
That's right.
I'd be like, I've been doing this. I found another good person for you guys. She's going to come in and apply, and it's going to be great. You'd be looking for your successor as opposed to, am I still here in February or not?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And I just wanted to hear from the other members because I don't want to just take back yes or no. I'd like to take back how you guys feel about this. This is the second time we've gone through this, and just, Sheila, you're a person, but I don't remember who interviewed Al and Julie. It was you and
Didn't I do it?
Audrey.
Audrey.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get more input. If we're going to make a change, I want to have the input to take back a meaningful change.
I don't think there
If you
should
could
just
find
be a
you or
cap
Julie.
on the planning commission.
Say what?
I don't think it should just be a cap.
What if you don't get any candidates and it gets smaller and smaller?
Yeah, experience. When this resolution was first adopted, I remember at the time I'm like, this shouldn't apply to the planning commission because experience is critical
It is.
for an operational body that makes, in a lot of cases, key decisions.
Yeah.
And it's been modified a little bit over time.
And can I add one other thing to that? I think it's very important that this commission also have as broad of background as possible. I mean, we have a wetlands expert, we have a builder, we have a business person, and we have lay people. And I think that ability to have that expertise is critical for the kind of program, what we do.
Right, and we did have that conversation as part of the interview process, because even if we have excellent candidates, if they don't make the team strong, are they really a good candidate?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what was so motivating for the council to choose Julie, because Julie had stuff to bring in a toolbox. And so, you look at that, it's like, what are their toolbox? Where are they coming from? Are they, are they a builder? Are they, an expert at something else that they're going to bring good assets to this team? And that was the other component is Sheila and Audrey have proven assets to this team, proven assets to the city that we can measure. And so I just didn't, when you're looking at the scale, do you do the letter of the law or the spirit of the law? And the spirit of the law is to get the best for the community, not change the chair.
Have you ever had any complaints of that process? I mean,
The
people like Dave. Let's say he complains. I met the criteria.
No,
but I
I
didn't
mean,
get chosen.
it's all about.
You haven't heard any complaints.
No, but really, this is the body that has the longest serving members. It's only, the only other challenge has been in Parks. Parks was the only other challenge where someone was removed, but they had 4 people that they interviewed. And if you interview 4 people for 1 seat,
Yeah.
you're going to have a best candidate most likely. But when you have 2 seats and only 1 applicant, and you have 2 good seats and 1 applicant, then it makes it that much harder. We've lucked out with Catherine and with Russ and with Julie, and they've been really good, strong people. We're nervous every time we make a change. Bill Amos was an amazing planning commissioner, huge asset.
Yeah.
And all those are big shoes to fill. And so we have to be,
No.
I just don't like knee-jerk changing somebody.
You were asked to.
That's what I'm sorry. I didn't
No,
mean to cut
that's all right.
and that's what I went home and I thought about, like, do we really need to change anything?
If I'm eeny, meeny, mowing it, it's not time.
So if we look at our national government as any kind of pattern to look at, we have representatives who are elected, not appointed, and their terms can go until they fall to dust in the middle of the floor,
Well, until they're not elected.
or until they're not reelected by their constituents in their state.
You were asking about, well, what do I say to the commission? Or when you go back to the city council, I think what you just said.
Right. I mean, that's what I mean. I don't want to just say yes or no, or we're going to overrule it because of the rule. We're going to say we're going to stand pat because da 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 da, and further da 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 da.
Yeah,
You know
but
what
I mean, as background to, I think what you said to us tonight is important to relay to the city council.
Right. These are strong candidates, and it would take more than just a person off the street to replace them.
And the fact that, in at least the respect of the planning commission, the policy is flawed, and we need to look at a different policy maybe for the planning commission. I think that is a message that needs to go back to the city council.
Right. Whether it's twofold, you brought up a very good point, is that we don't normally, I think we started advertising in October for a term that expired in December. And planning commissions is big shoes to fill. And maybe that's not enough time to get viable candidates.
Well, I guess my question is it's hard for me to express it. But if you have a team of planning commission members who are working effectively and efficiently, why would you routinely plan to dump somebody and pick somebody else up?
People have term limits. I mean, there's terms of office because you wouldn't sign up for a committee in perpetuity. I mean,
Council reappoints.
The
Right.
council reappoints. So,
yeah, because it's all part of the charter. So
well,
this
at
is
the-
why we
at
have
the
to make
time
sure
I
that
was
it makes
appointed,
sense.
I believe I took a place of a man who was named Bill Amos, and do I
L3
remember
since
him?
he left off.
Yeah, Bill Amos resigned.
Oh, well, he had health issues and
Right.
he resigned. And that felt like a natural and appropriate transition. He was a very nice man.
I replaced somebody who passed away.
Is very
He did not.
I replaced somebody who passed
you
away.
I didn't know that.
Was it
Came in the middle of a term.
Mm-hmm.
was it Sickles?
I don't know who it was.
It was
Allison Charbonneau.
Steve. His first name was Steve. He was
Allison
Really?
Charbonneau wanted me to
he said next
wanted me to
you?
join.
The school teacher?
No, he was
Yeah.
real estate.
Allison Charbonneau was on
Bill was.
on
Bill was a
on the
scholar.
planning commission for a while,
Oh,
She was here when we got
and then
Who?
Charbonneau.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. She was very. She stayed I think through my first term, and then she's got into other programs or something else.
The wetlands in Scottsdale.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was very good.
And you replaced her with the expertise of your.
she asked me to come a few times to the meetings. Remember that that thing down in Boise?
But I mean, the best commissioners we have had. I mean, every commissioner brings something
Yeah.
to the table, but the best ones we have had a experience in an area that is really important to planning, and I have thought that the whole commission and the community benefited best with those folks that have that bring that to the table.
this team is very lucky and very fortunate. There are other committees that there are members committees I've served on and committees I've heard about that people have kind of their hidden agenda and they wield their influence accordingly, and you can see how that would be dangerous on a planning commission.
Oh, sure.
And this is where this policy came from, is so then no one would have to up and get rid of someone. They just be like, somebody bitterly entrenched would not be there permanently. There would be a mechanism to renew them. But maybe there's a better way.
Well, I personally wouldn't suggest getting rid of the term limit on each position, such as it is now, 4 years. I think that's important to keep. I'm just saying that the policy that you have now, as far as the way it's set up, you're basically, if somebody wants to stay on after they've served 2 terms or whatever it is, they're really fighting against an unknown as far, and then it's, then you put the full panel, the commission, into the unenviable position of having to pick and choose someone that's doing a good job over some person that we really don't know much about other than through a quick interview process or something like that. And I just don't think that that's right. I mean, that doesn't guarantee that you're getting the best person for the position.
But,
Right,
but you
and
do
then
need
you-
the planning commission's input.
Right, but
So
then
it's
you,
not- it's-
the
we have
thing
to-
is not, you didn't just leap for a month. When you make that leap, it's a leap for 4 years.
Yeah.
And so then you've changed horses and now it's like, oh, wait, I didn't want the dessert kind of thing, you know? It's like I've taken more than I wanted kind of deal.
That's a good way to look at it.
So I don't have anything that would make me feel opposed to term limits. You can have a term is XYZ number of years, and you can have up to 2 or up to 3. I don't have any problems with that at all. It seems fair and reasonable. And on the other hand,
But maybe the issue is, maybe I just am going to put this out there. If something that's put in place because we were having issues on committees 10 years ago,
And not the planning commission.
not the planning commission ever, but if that maybe there needs to be something put into place that the council liaison can move to have someone removed. Rather than putting everybody through the hoops, maybe there's a position that we're not going to re-up your term, we're going to seek to replace you. And just tell the person, not in the committee, not a public embarrassment, and just say, at the end of your term, you're going to be replaced. That the council's made that motion,
Well, the
and
coun-
not have it be
The
that way.
council has the power to reappoint.
And just-
if they know they're an issue, they just don't.
And just move
reappoint.
on. And just move on, rather than putting good, hard-serving people through the mill every 4 years.
Yep.
And just say, we're gonna seek to reappoint Sheila. We're not gonna go out for a reappointment of Sheila. That the liaison would have a conversation with you, have a conversation with the council, and they just get reappointed. And just move on from the pony show.
And then we're saving our city recorder's time and an advertisement, which may not have any meeting. We're saving staff time to contact people for interviews.
Well, and then you're also saving the person who may have applied for the position being denied. You have to think about that too.
Sure,
Right, and
yeah.
usually people know that it's an issue coming up. The other person, I know who the other person was, the last one that it was changed for. And all the council knew this person was an issue, and so we could have directed staff to post for that position. And just made the decision that this person has burnt out, we all get burnt out in positions and it's time to move on and have that conversation, and they could resign and move on their way, and no one would have to know and it wouldn't be a big deal.
I like that. I think that could address definitely a lot of it.
Yeah, you don't till up your yard because you have one dandelion.
Right.
That kind of thing. Okay, I just wanted to have a good, meaningful conversation with you guys, because after it happened with Al was different because we had 2 good people.
Mhm.
But this was like, we have 2 awesome people and we have 1 heartbeat. Because it was like, that's how I looked at it, as he was a decent person, but did I see him as a potential planning commissioner? Not so much. So I just wanted to be able to hold my own in the conversation next week.
What's that to me is the group. There should be a group, Julie, that's showing up, that care about their city.
It's very difficult.
She had a passion for it.
Yeah.
When she came, that's what she wanted to do.
That's right.
And it was great.
Yeah.
It was cut.
Right. Well, and then you have people like, remember when we interviewed, I don't remember who it was, which position, when Simon came and interviewed. He was amazing. He was passionate and stuff, but he didn't qualify.
Yeah, and when we told him
I
this
know
is
what
what the
you're
planning
talking.
commission does,
And then
he was like, oh, that's
and then
not
he
cool."
self-selected. He
Yeah.
self-selected
No.
and go, that's not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, that's the way it really should go, is that it's not just the person, but the job is a match. And I think when we have 2 people that are so perfectly matched for the job, why do you pull them out and put somebody in that we're not sure about?
All right.
So we do have an action though. for incumbents, we do need a motion from the committee for reappointment.
Move to reappoint Sheila and
Well, yeah, I mean, have we heard from every,
Recommend.
I mean, have we
So
heard?
moved.
There we go.
I second.
All right.
Okay, we have a motion moved
We
and
abstain
seconded
the vote?
to,
I mean, that,
Yeah, that would probably
I
be
think
appropriate,
that-
yeah.
to maintain the,
then do we have enough people voting?
Yeah, we still have.
Yeah.
Well, you can
Well,
vote,
Four.
no, you can really
Yeah, we
vote
have
for the
four.
other person.
We have
Okay,
4.
I'll vote for Sheila.
I'll vote
What?
for Audrey.
We have 5. That's enough for a vote.
So
quorum.
we'll do 2 separate motions then. This first one is for Sheila.
Yeah, let's do it that way.
Make a motion to reappoint Sheila.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Okay,
Now the second motion.
I make a motion to reappoint Audrey.
Second.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Nays?
There you go.
Hey,
All right.
The
done.
votes are easy to count.
Now it's the city council's decision,
It's your
where it
job.
belongs.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, moving on. End of year summary report.
It was a busy year? Numbers are up?
Or similar.
None.
That last name.
Remember the Flintstones?
But I don't really think the numbers tell the full story, because the numbers seem to be equal to last year, but the sizes of the projects
Yes.
and the complexity of the projects much different than what it was in 2017.
Yeah, this is imperfect. You could have a subdivision that's 4 lots and a subdivision that's 80, and they're both just a 1. So
Exactly.
you're correct.
Yeah.
It doesn't gauge magnitude, but that's,
That's
the
just the
widgets.
way it is.
yeah.
It's an imperfect way.
Yes, it is.
But I thought, yeah, you guys did a fabulous job.
So,
Guys-
so next year we'll take out the type 1 home occupations, since we've done away with those. So the numbers, they'll all be even with each other, but they'll be lower numbers since we're taking those out.
And just for the few short months that has been out, have you noticed a decrease in time spent? What amount of time do you feel like you picked up that you haven't had to do those?
I don't know, we almost forgot about them.
Oh man.
How many times have you said, perfect, no home occupation required? I remember saying that a couple times.
Yeah.
So a normal application, how many minutes would you just
For a home occ, well, from counter to issuing, probably a couple hours.
wow.
And-
Yeah, because you're talking over the counter with someone,
Sure.
you know, asking them all the questions, making sure the paperwork's right, making the file. There's a lot of legwork.
So it's not like a 15-minute thing. It's
Well, yeah, so the 15-minute part would be like just the staff report. But
Yeah, this-
everything else, the mailing, yeah.
It's busy work.
yeah.
You had 18 of them.
It's 99% busy work for those. That's why we're like, why are we doing this?
That's
This is
great.
a waste of time.
that's great. Yeah.
We had 18 of them, and that's half. That's only through I think October. What does it say? September. So if we had continued that, Dan, it would have been more. Than
Oh, I see.
It would have been higher number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's nice to be able to tell people,
Yep.
perfect, you do not need a home occupation. Enjoy your business.
And that makes them feel good too. Yeah, it's a good job.
So that I had been thinking about that for years, and finally, let's just get rid of this.
Oh, good.
Great.
All right, so now we get a fight over who runs meetings and who runs meetings
So, Mr.
second
Chairman,
place.
I recommend we continue on with the same team.
Wait a minute.
This time you were here. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, wow.
Hey, we're just breaking you in.
I'm so bad on protocol. It's just like, if you guys can bear with it, yes, but
There you go.
We just said we could.
We'll just keep kicking you under the table.
Substantive.
Well, how do you feel about that, Russell?
He's speechless.
I do. I'm
But, I
I'm here
mean-
every time anyway, so if you don't mind me screwing up like I do.
Plus
But
he
you're
likes
better
that
than you
extra
were a
few
year
bucks.
ago.
Yeah.
What?
Your
Yeah.
the growth curve is you're getting better and better.
That's
Yeah.
right.
I'm a
You're getting better and
bashful
better.
Builder, that's why I need just,
A bashful
I
builder.
just shouldn't need, should be on the other end of the permit process here.
It takes 10 years to get comfortable.
Craig, I can see why you just wanted to knock that out.
That's right. And that's how we used to do it in the past.
Yeah,
Get
I
that
was just
degree.
worried that it might change.
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't want to. I didn't want to have to like reverse. Do
Oh, we
a
could-
I
game
was
of
ready to-
chairs
yeah.
up there.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, if you haven't
This way?
read
What
a
do you mean
script
this way?
before, it'd be a little weird.
Did Dan still want to be co-chair? Is that how it works?
You want?
We didn't, we didn't give him a choice.
No,
We voted it in.
He probably forgot that.
I'm okay. being
Okay,
nice.
just-
But did
just
someone
as-
else want to have a go
for
at it?
me, it's just I like to have bench strength, and I know we usually give people a pass at the beginning. So just know that Julie, your turn will be coming. It will come.
What
I
if my
haven't had-
term expires?
Well, stand back.
Free advertising.
But I like to see people learn new
I won't
things
be
and
on
learn
the
more
committee.
strengths. Because God forbid somebody wasn't here. Well, like if Dan was co-chair and Russ had to recuse himself or something, that somebody else knew what to do to step up would be great.
You wanted a second co-chair?
Vice.
I just,
Chair one, chair two.
if like to the point, if people are prepared that it'll come, it'll be less a surprise next January.
Well, the one thing I don't like about the chair is the chair doesn't vote except in ties. And, I mean, I prefer to have a voice and have a vote. And so,
It's not so bad.
Yeah.
Unless you have, gravel mining. How's that? I had to run those. That wasn't very fun.
Yeah, as vice chair. Yeah, that's
No,
End of the discussion. No, I'm serious.
I've got to sell you off, I believe in something,
You do.
yeah. Okay, where are we? See?
I guess you're on still.
8.
I guess I still am.
Right.
Unless someone else wants to do vice chair, for the next year. I didn't have to do it this last year.
I
You
know,
did
but
all
I'm
of
going to
them.
take a lot of summertime off, so you,
Oh. Anybody else want to do vice chair?
No, but I might as well tell you I'm planning on a long trip this summer.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All
I don't
right.
expect to be gone more than
Afraid
a
to
month
step
and a
up
half
if
or
there are
so.
people gone.
Where are you going?
So,
Okay.
Watch out.
So if both of us were gone, I think we did this before.
Yeah, I think it's in the
Greg, you did it one
in the,
time. Yeah.
planning
I was-
commission protocol that it's,
Yeah,
it's
I
a
was vice
vote
chair
for the
when,
person.
Oh, okay.
Bill Amos was chair. So, anyway,
Was you ever chair?
Don't pick on
I was never chair, well, I was chair for meetings,
Yeah.
but I would replace Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
all right. Anything need to be done with that?
Planning director.
Okay, planning decision, director decisions?
Yeah.
Okay, any comment on that?
To accept,
No motions
No
needed on
motions
these.
necessary.
we need it.
Yeah, there's no consent agenda this
consent
tonight.
agenda.
Or
Okay, what's the FYI?
Okay, so luckily this is a light night because
So-
we got some stuff for you in February. February 19th is our next planning commission meeting.
No,
You have February 12th, hon.
12.
Why do I have 19th?
We have a city, do we have a city council?
That's at
The joint meeting
combined.
is February 20th.
Yeah.
So that's with the planning commission and city council.
Right.
That's from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. And what I wrote here, it should be February 12th.
Is that a 20?
So that's going to be another 6 p.m. instead of a 7 p.m. for our housing needs analysis
12?
effort.
Okay.
Anyways, the February meeting is going to be a 6 o'clocker.
Okay.
Okay.
So 2 meetings for you. Actually, 3 meetings. The housing needs analysis meeting, our normal planning commission meeting, and then the joint planning commission city council meeting for the Riverfront Connector plan.
6 o'clock.
Put 2 days.
And I've got one thing to note. So the city landed an EPA grant to do environmental assessment work on any potential or suspected brownfields. A lot of the money is being used on the former Boise site, but property owners who suspect contamination on their own properties can also apply to our program and get phase 1 or phase 2 assessments done. If you don't know what that is, usually in real estate transactions, they require phase 1 and phase 2s to be done on sites that maybe were a former gas station or a dry cleaner or something like that. And so we're looking for property owners to use this program. And we're having a kickoff before the regularly scheduled council meeting on February 6th at 6 o'clock. I'm just telling you guys because this is going to be in the minutes. We're on air. So if you know of any property owners who might be able to use this, I have brochures here.
I wonder about putting a notice in.
I know you know about it.
Are you notifying that in the paper? Or?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
we're going to notify on Facebook. All the normal mediums we'll use. I'm also planning on going to some real estate offices and dropping these flyers off because they're typically the first line of defense when they're selling property or helping a client buy property. This stuff comes up.
I'd also do the escrow companies.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Have you talked to the port?
Yeah, so they're on our advisory committee meeting. Audrey's also on our advisory committee meeting. Their planner is interested in a site for phase 1, at the very least.
Is that the Niedermeyer Martin property on the point?
It's some property off of Old Portland Road and near Railroad Ave.
This would be off of Railroad Avenue.
Yeah.
Okay.
So potentially that, yeah.
I think that.
How much money is involved?
So the grant was for $300,000, which can get eaten up pretty quickly. The city has already used about $80,000 on an assessment on the Boise site. So, yeah.
I think like the old transfer station along Gable Road. That Elliot
The old
Michael
car wash.
Elliot Michael owns that.
6th and Columbia.
Yeah,
Would that be?
that's the type of project that
Available.
we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that just recently switched owners, so I think
No,
it
it
might
hasn't
be.
yet.
Oh, it hasn't.
Well, maybe the other corner lot.
Yeah, no, those are the two that we've been thinking
We don't
about.
have any
And actually, I've-
dry cleaners or
Lots.
yeah,
in town or anything like
I
that.
already brought yours up, Sheila.
yeah. Those are good ones too because they're so visible. That's the
Yeah.
kind of projects that we want to help facilitate redevelopment of.
We had no idea till a week ago that there had been a gas station
Oh wow,
Really?
on that property,
I could,
like back in the 30s.
yes,
yeah.
yes.
Wow.
You know, you never gave me a map to, I was gonna sit down with Margaret.
Yeah,
There's a
Yeah,
couple,
I'll be glad to give this.
big couple lots.
let's talk.
You can look at, they're called Sanborn maps that show all the,
Yeah,
that.
that's how they do the phase
Right.
1, phase. Yeah.
I've got a question for Jenny.
Mm-hmm.
St. Helens Marina, you? I mean, it's just nothing's come before us, and so I've got a question because they're talking about taking on the island, and I assume you guys are dealing with them for the contract on that.
Yeah, there's contract negotiations that's been going on for over a year.
Right, okay. And it's exciting. The letter I got from them, because I'm a member down there, there's new parking lots will be developed to handle all the cars. Where's that going to happen? Do you know?
I haven't seen, I just got the email today.
Okay,
Because there's been different contract language about, because they're talking about fee for camping and they're talking about a shuttle service and different things where money would be involved. And so until they hashed out all that stuff, how that all works, I hadn't seen the attachments. But I know that, what's the guy, is that Brad?
Brad.
Yeah, Brad. So Brad's the owner, and of course he has Lower Columbia Engineering working with him. Back in the summer when we were discussing it, I had some discussions with Andrew Nemi of Lower Columbia about potential parking lot locations, and the locations have kind of changed. I know they want to have parking because obviously they don't want to have a greater impact on their facility, but there are some city properties around there which are potentials. There's a stretch of right-of-way between the Dillard Marina and the St. Helens Marina, just south of the newest RV parking lot. Is that the newest one?
yeah.
The one that's not falling into the river.
That's the newest.
Yeah.
Oh, you picked up on that, huh?
Yeah, they I had to sign off on a Army Corps permit to Yeah, so we required stabilization because we're looking at it and going, I don't know about this. And I remember the initial plans, you know, it showed below ordinary high water treatments, which would have been the granddaddy of bank protection. But they wanted to avoid that for permitting reasons, and they probably should have done it then, yeah.
Well, I'm just curious.
I mentioned it then.
If he's got, 50 campsites out there, that's a slug of cars.
That's a lot of cars, yeah. So there's and that'll handle some. There's also a place,
Above the RV park, that road.
the higher RV park, the city owns, and there, that's also a possibility. But, we haven't reviewed plans in detail. It's just been a discussion.
Yeah.
Well, and people have accessed the island by boat as well, so it's not always just vehicle traffic. It's not always motorized, car.
Well, the people that bring their boats in, that parking lot's full, during fishing season and such. Yeah,
Right,
there's
but I
no other
mean,
spot.
there've been people camping over on the island with no facilitation and no parking lot that come up there and pull up their boat and camp on the island.
Yeah.
So it's 50 sites don't necessarily equate to 50 cars.
Will they then take care of the docks over on?
They're gonna do all that.
Okay.
The idea is that it's gotten a little cowboy the last couple of years over there, a little wild, a little scary, and
Actually, over there.
what? Yeah, I mean for families and stuff, and for if you're over there and you think it's just nice little place for your family and your kids, and it gets pretty wild. Some of the stories I've heard, but the city just doesn't want that liability and just would like to have a safe place for people.
Well, and then they'll be at the far end of the island, which I can't see. Russ could probably see it.
Oh, yeah.
How loud the music was last night.
Oh, I can hear people talking on the
Oh,
island.
yeah.
And we have a dog in the fight because we're right above there, and people park up there all the time, and it's there's no guardrails or anything, and then they just go down the hills and leave their vehicles, and any place they can crawl down. So if I just thought if the planning commission has what you plan on, you need some more parking. So how's that?
There was also the conversation, and I never saw it. I don't know if I didn't see it flush out or if it didn't get approved. That behind the garages, there's supposed to be the road that wraps around. They talked about improvements to the road and that there'd be parking on both sides. Is that happening, or did that not get approved?
It's a potential.
Is that just a potential plan?
That's one of the potentials. Yeah, there's
Okay.
a variety of potentials, and each has their own costs, pros and cons. I don't know what Brad and Andrew have finalized in their minds. Of course, we have to approve it too.
They had it vacated, they didn't
They're not up
purchase
that high. That's
First Street.
Yes, and then we had special language in there for future road improvements.
But nothing was okayed as far as turning it into a parking.
Well, it's a public street. The street can be developed with on-street parking.
Oh, okay, I see. What
That's what I meant, just parking on both sides of the street.
No, I saw it striped.
I was,
and,
no,
Oh, no, it would be a street with on, yeah.
even without camping on the island, I was already concerned this last year during salmon season. This lot out here was clear full. The lot over there by the movie theater was nearly full. And there was boat trailers down here and stuff. Since they've developed the other RV park and they filled up all that spaces with garage, there isn't near the room down there for those big trucks that bring the boats in. And so they're getting pushed into other areas. And I mean, I just came down here to park and walk the trail out here and couldn't find a place to park. And I didn't see anybody anywhere. And I looked out there and see all the salmon fishermen. And that's when I was like, oh, that's where they are. But it's a good point, Russ. I will, when I have time tonight, because I literally just got that email about the campaign today.
Yeah.
So I will go look at all the attachments and see what the final findings were.
Okay. It's going to have a big impact down in that whole area.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
That's a good segue. You said you were going to park down here to do for a walk. I brought a Statesman Journal article that came out today. I'm going to give it to you, Jenny, but it's a report that just came out from Oregon Parks and Recreation Department. Identifies $640 million in funding needed for Oregon's trail system, and they identified that what most outdoor recreation in Oregon actually occurs on the trails and parks of urban centers. and that having the health benefits, outdoor recreation will save the population and the community's money from health issues. Anyway,
Do you
pretty
think-
interesting
Do
article.
you think
SCORE,
does
the statewide comprehensive outdoor recreation program?
What's that?
Was that what it is? Because I just saw the draft plan came out and it had all
Outdoor statewide comprehensive outdoor recreation
Yeah.
plan? Yeah.
Yeah. So for Columbia County, the priorities were access to waterways, which is great for grant.
Doesn't help your health because you're still getting in a motorboat.
Oh no, like
Oh.
so trails along water.
Okay.
So which is great because that dictates their funding sources for grants. So
would that
if the
cover
highest
kayak
priority-
launch?
What was that?
Would something like that be, that kind of funding be applicable for a kayak launch?
So we're in the process of developing a kayak launch in Grey Cliffs currently.
And so is it full access kayak launch or is it
No.
able-bodied?
Yeah, this is like a mellow ramp of gravel.
Okay, because there's the kind that someone approached me in the community about, the kind that for people that have had knee replacement or limited mobility or
We're not
just
doing in-water work,
no
Okay.
in-water work.
but
Cannon Beach has one of those.
The kind that has the little
Yeah.
things where you don't have to get wet and feel like you're going to drown to get in the boat.
Do they work?
I want that
Yeah.
kind.
Yeah,
That has the rails
I've
on
used it
each
over
side.
in Estacada
I've-
too.
I went to the new kayak ramp it's
Down
gravel.
here?
Yeah.
it's not done.
I know it's not
Yeah,
done.
yeah.
Yeah, and I've had a hip replacement, so what I do is I
Oh.
roll out,
Oh, I see.
crawl up the bank.
Yeah.
That's the only way I can do it.
Yeah. Have you ever tried to get
So
in?
you just watch it.
Have you tried to get in here at the docks here?
Yeah, I've done it many times.
Because that seems
You
like
get used to it.
harder.
It's
than-
harder. No, I've done up Scappoose, and it's like you've got to, get that
Yeah.
far above.
I prefer a
That's-
nice ramp.
No, I'd rather be
down
on
than
sandy
this.
beach if.
Yeah, because you're
There's-
stepping in it, and it's
There's beach launchers and there's those that are scared of or beach launchers because they're scared of docks. But
yeah. There's a spectrum,
this-
and what Jenny's talking about is like the nicest kind where you can like walk out
or
and
can.
yeah.
Right.
give
Well,
it
I
a
mean,
hard
in my dream is that we'd have,
have a
when people
coworker.
talk about something for seniors or for people with disabilities or for with this or for that, in my dream, our community would be accessible to all people of all ages. So it wouldn't have to be, is it okay for a knee guy or an old guy or somebody that gets out of a wheelchair? It should be, fully accessible. Things like bathrooms and recreation should be accessible to everybody.
I have a disabled husband who goes in a little cart, and the plywood plant property, the gravel, you guys did some,
They fixed it.
they made it better.
Right, they fixed it as close as they can without paving it.
Paving would be ideal.
Right, but
even
they're,
asphalt. But
yeah,
paving would be ideal, but it is better than it was.
they added the superfine. When they originally made the path, it was too coarse.
Too
And
coarse.
so it would turn ankles of an able-bodied person.
The go-kart just couldn't handle it. So he would have to go off out into the grass,
But
which
this,
wasn't bad.
what this report actually says, the top need was for dirt and soft surface trails close to home. But that isn't, I'm not saying that handicapped or more accessible kind of trails aren't also valuable, but
But
that's not going
compacted,
to get the most
But-
exercise out of.
but compacted dirt is
Yeah.
actually better than the loose rock.
Yeah,
For
that's
people
true.
with mobility issues,
That's true, that's
compacted
true.
dirt is
Yeah.
better than loose rock.
Oh, yeah. The only problem with compacted dirt is that we have a rainy environment.
That happens.
Yeah, that's all.
Mud.
They're mud tires.
He wouldn't mind the mud.
Anyway, you want this, Jenny? Sure.
Mr. Chairman, unless there's something else.
No, I think next meeting, February 12th, it is now 8:25.